Hello, everyone. Welcome to the McMaster Health Forum here in Hamilton, Ontario for our latest Queen Elizabeth Scholarship presentations. I will walk you through a little bit about the forum and the scholarship program, and then I'll introduce you to our scholarship presenters for today, Adam and Navi, and then we'll end with some questions once they're both completed. So the McMaster Health Forum is the leading hub for improving health outcomes through collective problem solving. We harness information, convene stakeholders, and prepare action-oriented leaders and act as an agent of change by empowering stakeholders. Our Queen Elizabeth Scholarship Program has existed in two different forms. The original Queen Elizabeth Scholarship Program was in strengthening health systems, and our latest one is strengthening health systems, health and social systems. The Queen Elizabeth Scholarship Program is managed through a partnership between Universities Canada, the Rita Hall Foundation, Community Foundations of Canada, and individual Canadian universities. And the purpose is to activate a dynamic community of young global leaders across the Commonwealth to create lasting impacts both at home and abroad through cross-cultural exchanges, encompassing international education, discovery and inquiry, and professional experiences. As I noted, this is our second Queen Elizabeth Scholarship program. We are one of 20 universities to have been awarded this second program. The purpose of the program, or the focus, is strengthening health and social systems. Our original program, which was on strengthening health systems, engaged 14 incoming scholars, 3 outgoing scholars, and 44 outgoing interns. So we had quite a busy time in those 4 years of that original program. Our recent program on strengthening health and social systems has so far engaged 7 incoming scholars and 13 outgoing interns. There are no outgoing scholars in this current program. The photo on the screen there, if you're interested, is some of our current scholars at an event at Queen's Park with the former Governor General, David Johnston, and the current Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. Our first presenter today is Adam. Adam is an undergraduate student in the Bachelor of Health Sciences program specializing in child health at McMaster. He has committed, along with his academic and research pursuits, he has committed to bringing the McMaster student community together to break the armchair advocacy cycle and take steps towards sustainable action. During his internship abroad, Adam hoped to gain greater insight into how evidence synthesis can be translated into policy and change. So, ladies and gentlemen, Adam.
Thank you so much, James. Right. Do I grab that from you? Okay. Yeah, cool. Thank you so much. Just put on here. Nice. So, like James mentioned, my name is Adam, and today I'll be talking to you about my time in Lebanon, a synopsis of 3 months. My Twitter and LinkedIn handle is El-Kadi. Feel free to add me on there. Pretty active on Twitter, so anytime you want to reach out, feel free to do so. Relevant disclosures. So my internship was funded by QES, obviously, but the following steps have been taken to mitigate the bias in terms of information that was shared has undergone peer review and merit review. So information strictly peer reviewed, and where there may be sources of bias in terms of personal recommendation information, I will let you know. And with regards to our agenda today, obviously we're going to talk about our partner, who is K2P, and this is the place where I went. My time in Lebanon, which I'll talk on a couple of different points, so climate change and health systems, organizing framework, and the evidence summary and knowledge translation, which I worked on, as well as we'll talk a little bit about Lebanon and what I learned when I was there. So a little bit about K2P. So the Knowledge to Policy Center, K2P Center, is one of 3 research centers based in the American University of Beirut in Lebanon, looking at research, policy, and system-level approaches to public health. It's founded in 2013 by the Faculty of Health Sciences at the AUB, and the center aims to translate knowledge, hence the name, the Knowledge to Policy Center, to impact policymakers and stakeholders, and to inform policy agendas and decision-making in the health and social care sectors. You could read more about the K2P products, which I really recommend. They have really, really nice stuff on there. Unfortunately, the link was cut out, but that's okay. You could find it by K2P AUB online, and you'll be able to find more information. So this is a picture of me next to their sign. But we'll talk about my learning objectives going in, which is to understand the types of policy products that are presented in public health. So I took the 3rd-year undergraduate course taught by Dr. Levis and Dr. Wilson at the Health Forum. I really, really enjoyed that course, and it kind of took me and interested me to learn a little bit more about the products that are offered. And I wanted to understand a little bit more about the methods of knowledge translation. So my internship day-to-day looked like evidence summaries, which I worked on, devising a search strategy and screening through the relevant articles, and simply and clearly presenting the interventions that we present on the multi-system levels of healthcare. And I'll talk a little bit more about that so we don't have to worry about it. Okay, cool. So before I get into the problem and the size, I'll kind of talk a little bit more about how this came about, which is I had a talk with Dr. Fadi. He's the director at the K2P, and it was a really interesting discussion, but we were kind of talking about where I want to go, what are some interesting things I could research about. And he saw on my CV that I've done a lot of stuff about climate change, which James talked about a little bit in the beginning, and sustainable development. And so he thought, hey, maybe we could do something about climate change in health systems. This is something that is not researched enough, and we'll talk about it more later, but it's not researched enough, and it's something that is really impacting us, and it's something we should take a look at. So, I want to take your attention here to the problem that we have, which is that the World Meteorological Society, the World Meteorological Organization released a report recently that showed over a 50-year span that there was 150 deaths and 202 million losses daily, according to the report. Just to kind of dwell on that number a little bit, these are some scary statistics. I mean, just looking at it, this isn't just, oh, the temperature is going up a little bit, so I have to turn on the AC a little bit longer. These are scary. And I know Halloween's gone now, but maybe next year you could dress up this statistic and scare somebody. I'm sure our politicians are not going to do anything about it by next year. I know, jokes aside, but this is serious. And going on to agriculture, specifically, we obviously want to focus on the MENA region, the Middle East and North Africa, because the K2P Center is in the Middle East. So if it made a little bit more sense, but also because they're at greater risk of impact. So various climate change models, climate modeling studies have found that the MENA region is more susceptible, and as well as to health as well. It's been linked to cardiovascular disease, something I'm personally interested in, but also respiratory disease and mental health. So it's all encompassing. And, the size of the problem is that it's multi-sectoral. And so that tells you something. This is going to impact our healthcare systems, and this is something we should be looking at, specifically at K2P. And the COVID pandemic has highlighted to us how underprepared we are and how long it's taken us to mount a response, and why this document, because it fits into the Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations. Moving swiftly on, whereas most people go to the streets to protest, I did what every researcher does: sit behind a laptop and start typing a paper, which we call the Reimagining Climate Resilient Health Systems in the Middle East and North Africa region. This is on the left here. The picture is from the first page of the manuscript, and you'll be able to find the citation online. And it hasn't been published yet. Right now, it's undergoing merit review, but it should be out soon. So regarding the organization framework and why we're kind of talking about this, again, we want to make this simple for policymakers. And this is something that I was interested for some time, which is translating knowledge for people who matter and the stakeholders. And we came across this organizing framework, which I spent a lot of time trying to research for, and I found it. It's by Naina and al. It's a guiding framework for understanding the important areas of building climate resilient humanitarian health systems. And that model in and of itself was modeled after the World Health Organization's operational framework for climate resilient health systems. I won't talk too much about the organizing framework because we're going to revisit it in a little bit. So my literature search, I have worked on a lot of meta-analysis and systematic review before, but usually when I hop on a project, the librarian and the researchers have already set up the search strategy. So I don't really get to do that much before and kind of hone on that skill. So again, I thank the K2P team for being so understanding and helping me throughout and teaching me how to do so. And the picture on over here, if you look at the literature by the numbers, we have 1,657 articles that we found. Almost 96% of them did not meet the inclusion criteria. But of those that were included, I kind of split them into governance, administrative, provider, and patient level. And kind of the patient level, we'll talk more about that. But the patient level is, we want to engage the patients. They're also part of our healthcare system. They're also part of the advocacy piece that we want to reach. And there's hybrid articles, kind of fits into all, or we're not specific. Right, so our findings, with regards to our findings, this framework was really interesting because it went into the mitigate section. It went into adaptability. It went into advocacy. And going on to kind of walking through a little bit. So the climate-informed humanitarian early warning signs, that was something we focused on. And we looked at vector-borne diseases and evidence-based methods for prevention. And then for climate-informed humanitarian needs assessment, we also looked at something there with regards to health impact assessments and understanding potential side effects of proposed policies. We also have the advocacy and communication in the context of climate change, which is also part of the mitigation piece, using mass education programs and curriculum. And then moving on to adaptability, so the leadership and governance portion. What do governance and leaders have to be thinking about? The humanitarian health workforce. So we talked about different frameworks that could be used for educating the health workforce and the health professionals and engaging them in this process. Also in the adapt, we have climate smart populations, which we actually added that section. It wasn't initially in the World Health Organization, but the evidence led us in this section. And we felt like this was important to add, and so we did. And we talked about engaging the public and understanding the perceptions. We also talked about climate smart humanitarian supply systems, so telemedicine, and how can we make our supply system more smart? Because actually, the healthcare sector is one of the biggest carbon footprints in the world. So this is also something we have to be thinking about. Climate change and health research, this is what we do, knowledge translation, and then we also have the environment, health determinants of health. Some things that were not included, so the humanitarian access to climate finance, we didn't really find any evidence on that, so we didn't include it. We have the climate informed humanitarian programs, which also we couldn't find enough evidence that meant inclusion, so that was kind of left out. So again, due to the interest of time, I didn't talk about this too much, but feel free to, when this comes out, to read more about it. So to reiterate, why was this paper important? The multi-sectoral impact resulting from climate change makes it the single biggest threat facing humanity, according to the World Health Organization. This is insane. And again, I mentioned this, we're not doing enough. We need to take action. We need to start thinking about how is this impacting us, more than just researching about it, actually putting in interventions. And this was the objective of the summary, which was to provide policymakers in the MENA region with actionable interventions to improve climate resilience in their area. Actually, I just want to go back a little bit of a slide here to kind of demonstrate the point that this was not research enough. A lot of the recommendations that we gave, a lot of the interventions that we gave were general. They were general because there wasn't much in the MENA region. We couldn't find very specific and culture specific. We're trying to work on that. We try to research as much as we can, but this is what we came up with. And a lot of the research that we summarized in the evidence summary was general and could be applied universally, which is not bad, but also you want to think of culture specific things that fit into that region. So this is, again, what we did and my work at K2P. And I learned a lot about this process. I learned a lot about how to translate knowledge and how to think about, not to write from researcher to researcher, but truly to those who matter in policy making and decision making. And how can we really translate what we know into actionable advice? Now, you might be thinking, where the heck is Lebanon? And to that, I say, it's in the Middle East. It's a small dot over there. I kind of tried to explode the view, but I'll kind of give some quick facts about Lebanon. Most Lebanese people can speak 3 languages, so English, French, and Arabic. So if you're Canadian, you'll have a great time there. I'm sure you could find someone who you could speak to. I'm personally Lebanese, and I also speak the 3 languages. You also have close to 6.5 million speakers, 6.5 million residents in Lebanon, which might not seem like a lot, but it's such a small country. And before like 2013, we had like 4 million people, and it's 2 million people in such a short period of time. And the government has had trouble coping. And I'll talk a little bit more about my experiences in Lebanon in a little bit. But we also have, it was kind of cut off here, but Lebanon has one of the oldest cities in the world as well, Byblos, or Jbel, we call it. And I had the chance to visit it while I was there. So my sincerest thank you goes to the K2P team for making me feel welcome, making me feel part of the family. I'll kind of talk about 3 pictures at the same time. So one on the left, the one in the middle, the 2 in the middle, actually. That was taken on my birthday, which happened in Lebanon. So we have the cake, cutting the cake here, and this is the picture we took. Dr. Fadi, the program director, unfortunately wasn't in the picture. I think he had to step out, but this is the team. And then the stickers have a funny story. So while I was there was this shop that was near the center, and almost every day I would grab a Snickers from there. And so it became an internal joke. We talked about it, we laughed about it. And then one of my colleagues at the time, and now a friend, basically, she was leaving for that week, but she made sure to come in early and put the Snickers there. And she said, "Happy birthday, Adam," you know, from who? And we had a good laugh about it. So it really goes to show how much of a good time I had here. I really built a second family. I still contact the K2P Center people there. And again, I look back at this time with such fond memories. And then over there, we have on the right side, on the top, we have a picture from one of the cities in Lebanon called Batroun. This is a picture of a church that I really like the pictures. I want to share it, to be honest. But again, it kind of demonstrates the point that Lebanon is very multicultural. So much history has gone through there. The Greeks, the Romans, the French, the Ottomans, and you can find remnants of that everywhere you go. Also on the bottom right, this is me with playing soccer with an Arsenal jersey. Arsenal is my favorite team. So if you're watching this in the future, let us know in the comment section if Arsenal ends up winning the league. But I had a great time. So I met a lot of people. We played soccer. We had some fun, and but it also really made me feel privileged, which is after everything that happened, I had the chance to go back. While I was there, I had to deal with shortages of electricity. So it's called load shedding. Basically, they don't have enough electrical capacity to give power 24 hours a day. So power by the government comes 2 hours a day. This is when you do your dishwashing. This is when you do your clothes. This is when you do everything, shower as well. And the rest of the time, you also pay another electricity bill, which is subscription. So all in all, there's so much going on. A lot of people's income went down. I think so. Due to the COVID pandemic, the Lebanese currency has lost 90% of its value, which is crazy to me. It's crazy to me. And when I came back to Canada, I genuinely felt like I was in a different world. And again, the privilege and being a K2P in Lebanon as part of the QS experience was eye-opening, to say the least. And I guess pictures can really do it justice as much as I talk about it. So wrapping up, I know my time is kind of reaching the end. I'll talk about what I learned and my advice to future QA scholars, which is remember to live in the country you attend, not just exist. What does that mean? I was there for 3 months and I could have just went there, do my work and not really do anything. But I just tried. I tried to make mistakes, try to go out and try different things. And you're going to practically be forced to eat the food there, but really go out of your way to try different things, try the food, maybe try your hand at the language. I already knew Arabic, but I took a little bit more time to get to know my culture a little bit more, to read more, to kind of encompass myself in that environment, because you never know when that's going to happen again. So on the left here, these are some of my friends. We went out during the weekends, and there's a picture of us. Again, just live, use that summer to really experience that country and get the most out of your QE experience. But yeah, so again, I'll finish off with a sincere thank you to the Queen Elizabeth's program for funding my trip and for allowing me this opportunity, to James for being incredible in coordinating everything, the forum and the K2P team, the K2P Center and the team, and everyone there involved for making me feel comfortable, for making me feel welcomed, and giving me an experience of a lifetime. So my email contact is adam.elkadi@hotmail.com, and my Twitter handle and my LinkedIn. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions, if you want to chat, or just want to follow me, that's fine as well. I'm most active on Twitter, so you can reach me out there. But yeah, that's it. That's it from my end.